my channel. We're building a RANS S21. In this episode, I fabricate and attach the wingtips, as well as attach the nav lights on the wingtips. To be honest, this was a difficult segment for me. They did not come out as well as I would have liked. By the time I did the left wing, it was my third attempt. I did two on the right and then the third attempt on the left. Thought I would have it by then, and it didn't come out much better than on my right wing. Eddie Gill from RANS, on the RANS instructional videos, does a segment on this at the very end of the wings video. I recommend watching that to see how it's supposed to be done. I tried to follow it, it didn't come out the way I'd hoped. So I'm documenting what I did. I'll let you take a look at it, but by no stretch is it instructional, as I'm not really completely pleased with the way they came out, but they are what they are, and I'm going to move forward. As a first-time builder, I guess sometimes they're not going to be as precise and as accurate as you would like, but this is one of those segments. So with that, let's build the wing, or wingtip. Okay, doing the wingtips, and I noticed my favorite YouTubers, most of them have gone with the Aerosport carbon fiber. Tony, DJ, and Steve all went carbon fiber. Derek looks like the only one who has gone with the factory, and he uses a process that is over and above what the factory calls for and aims for a really perfect line, so I don't criticize his work. I'm going to try a simpler method, and hopefully it works. So I'm getting started. As is typical with the manuals, just getting to the manual pages is difficult. I found the wingtip assembly parts blow up in section 6 of the manual under wing, which is where I would expect it, but the text portion is in section 10 under fuselage in the text area. So I finally matched them up, and that'll let me get started. Looks like the first step is to cut off this round knob, and the directions say to cut it to where the round connects with the support rib. That leaves a little bit of a area here that's left, which we can trim later if necessary. And I'm going to use a Dremel with a cutoff. They said you can use that or just some shears, but I like working with the Dremel, so we'll go that way. What I did to make the 3/4 inch line is I threw some sandbags in here to hold this flat to my table. And then I cut a 3/4 inch piece of angle brace off, put it up against here, put my Sharpie on it, and then with 2 hands just dragged it around, and that gave me a nice 3/4 inch line all the way down. Okay, that trimming method worked pretty well. I've clamped it on temporarily just to kind of see how it's going to fit on the wing. I don't think this edge has to be perfectly straight, because this is the inside flange, and the wingtip's going to come over that. The wingtip edge has got to be perfectly straight to get this line good, but I think this can be just a little less than perfect, because it's just the inside that you're going to glue the wingtip to. But I'm happy with that. Okay, it looks like what they're telling me to do next is that this has to get tapered, this flange. At the very tip, it's going to be 1/8, and then where this last support rib, or this last rib of the wing starts, is 3/4. So it starts at 3/4 and gets tapered down to 1/8, and that's so the wing tip can fit over it. The next part is to trim the wingtip itself to, they say, the molded shape line. And they said use tape or Sharpie to identify the line. This is the line that's got to be really, really accurately straight, because it's going to fit onto the wing itself. It's so hard to see this little indent here. I tried putting the tape on and I kept losing the line. So I finally went to the dot method. I kept moving the wingtip so it was in the right light, and found the line and put dots. And now I think I'm going to put some tape to accent the line. And then that'll let me cut it as straight a line as I can cut. So I've got the masking tape that followed the dots, and that created a nice straight line. So if I can stay right on that masking tape, I should have a pretty good first cut. And then there's a little bit of sanding, I'm sure, necessary to make it match your wing. So the next phase of the tip is to tape your wing with at least a 1-inch tape, And you want to get this edge absolutely as close as you can, because you're going to use this measurement for your next cut. Okay, I'm going to deviate a little bit from what the manual says to do. Basically, when you get this on, you're supposed to measure from the edge of this tape to make a new mark here, and that's going to be a new cut. I am so close all the way along here that with just a little marking and a little touch sanding, I think I can make this fit without recutting the whole side. Kind of like on the cowling, it's a lot of just measuring, sanding, and I don't think I need to make a new cut line all the way down here and then start sanding that. I'm so close with my first cut. This is just falling in, and I'm really, really close. So I think I can just mark it and sand a couple spots and I'll have a fit. Well, I'm gonna try it and we'll see what happens. This method seemed to have worked. I took it off twice. I marked areas that needed to get sanded, and now it's fitting just right exactly against the edge all the way around without any gaps. And I think that's the goal of the trimming. So I'm going to move forward with the next step of trying to secure this to the rib support. The next thing I'm going to do is cut a template out of a piece of MDF that I have. I'm using the support stringer. I've outlined it, and I need to cut it just on the outside of the line. I need to make it just a little bit bigger because it's going to fit on top of the wingtip and the stringer, or the support, and sandwich it to hold the glue together. Here's my trial fit of my MDF support wood that will hold the glue and everything in place. If you notice, I've got a clamper. I broke this MDF, and this was a scrap piece of MDF they had. That's why it's not fully squared off. I had it at the house, and rather than stop and get another piece of MDF, I just used this one, and sure enough, I had to get it thin, but it's working. It's all bracketed in place. So it fits really well. Now what they say is, before I glue it, I want to shim that support rib 0.050 off the table. Okay, my next step is to glue the wing tip onto the support. And I've got two issues that I've been working on. The first issue is that this support needs to be elevated 0.050 off the table, and that allows this edge to go down a little bit past the edge of here so that it meets up flush with the wing. And I was trying to figure out what's a 0.050 gap, and I looked all through the hanger and I couldn't really find anything. So I reached out on the forum, and good enough, the forum's always got something. They came up with playing cards, and you can adjust your gap by how many cards you pick. And sure enough, I found out that 5 cards of this old deck of cards is a 0.050 or 1.27 1.27 millimeters. So I'm going to take 5 cards all the way along and put them underneath, and that'll elevate me to 0.050. The other issue is on Eddie Gill's video, he just slides this on top when he's doing the gluing, and it drops right down. I've got a problem is these edges kind of bow out a little bit, so I've got to kind of work them in as I get the wingtip on, and I'm worried that I'm going to scrape the glue off. So I don't have that solved, other than I probably want to have the glue on this surface, so when the wingtip comes down on this, it then will come onto here. If I have it on this surface, as it comes over here, it's going to scrape the glue off. So I think that will do it, but that's my those are my two issues to get this glued on to the support. So we're going to try it, see what happens. Okay, so here's what I think the process is going to be. The wing went on pretty simple, or the wing tip. I'm using one hand here. I've got all the cards. You can see my playing cards all along here fit in. So this is all 0.050 elevated off the table. It's being held down by the sandbags, and with everything being held down, the wingtip went on pretty easy. So I think I've just got a little bit of sanding. I noticed I was a little bit flat on one side, so I got a little bit of sanding, and then I think we go for it. what could go wrong? So the glue is on, the support is on to hold the sides in. I had little gaps in here, so I ran some shims to kind of push it up against that support rib. I hope I didn't mess the whole thing up. We'll see, but that's the gluing process. We'll see how it turns out. Ugh, that didn't work. Too bad. You can see it didn't glue down. I thought, well, I can just glue these down and clamp them, but my front has a little gap in here, so this whole thing has got to get moved. The support's got to get moved forward a little bit. So what I need to do is the brace here that is supposed to hold it together has got to be smaller. The hole's got to be smaller, and it's got to clamp it tighter. So I'm going to cut another. I'm going to break these seals here. Thank God it only like spot sealed it, so it's not that difficult to break apart. And I'm going to cut a new jig and make it smaller and try it again. I'm making my second jig, and this time I drew the lines really tight to that tip support, and I'm going to do my cut just inside the line to make sure. And the worst case, then I can sand. Much easier to sand some out than it is to try and add. So we'll see if we can make this one a little better than the last one. Well, I'll take a little break and show you what Rich is working on. He decided that he would put an access panel on the side of his boot cowl on both sides using nut screws, number 8 nut screws, in case he needed access in there, which makes a lot of sense. And it's secure. It's a nice piece of work, and boy, I'm thinking about doing the same thing. What I'm doing to get this jig as tight as possible is I'm looking. I've got the tiny little piece of aluminum, and I'm trying to figure where the pressure point is because it's not going down on this end. So it's just touching a little too tight here, and I'm just taking a little bit off at a time. Because my understanding from my failure last time is this jig's got to be perfectly tight on this wingtip. Okay, the new jig is cut tight. It's flat to the table. It's tight all the way around. I'm going to give it a second gluing, and hopefully this will be the final shot. Well, I'm not thrilled with how it came out. It's a heck of a lot better than before, but there's still some areas that did not get set in, and I don't know, the jig was as tight as I can imagine, so I'm just going to add some glue and clamp in these sections and tie them in. And in one area near the bottom, near the bottom, the edge isn't the .050, which tells me that the wingtip was not pushed down hard enough on the support. Even though the support had a shim, the wingtip did not go down to the table. Apparently, I thought it did when I put the cover on, but okay, so not perfect. I'm gonna have to live with it. It is what it is. I can't do any better. The jig can't get any tighter. I pushed it with weights, and this one's done. Maybe the other one will be a little better. Well, not the finest workmanship, but I commit to my content, just showing the good, bad, and the ugly. These are hand clamps with some aluminum support, just clamping the spots that weren't tacked properly, and I'm working my way around, and that's going to be what it's going to be. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. I like to target my videos for about 12 or 13 minutes, and I really don't like them to go over 15 minutes. I've still got to put the nav lights in, I've got to attach them to the wing, so there's still a few more clips to get in there, and I'll put them in the next video. Remember, all this work up to now is being done prior to the wings being put on, even though I just showed the video before the wings going on. And then pretty much the next video was attaching to the wings after the wings were on. But we'll get that out shortly. So once again, thanks for watching, and remember, dream it, just build it.